Good afternoon, and very good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Welcome to VUEGRAPHY. So, today is going to be a special day because I'm going to give you my final thoughts, my final conclusion about the lens I was using almost since last couple of weeks. I already talked about that on the Facebook. I already showed some sample images on the Facebook, which is this big boy, the 50mm f 1.2s for the Z mount. So I'm using this lens exclusively for last almost 2 weeks or so. I got a call. Actually, I got a text from one of the colleagues, and not colleagues, like friend of mine from Nikon Middle East, and I have been told that there is a surprise for you and you have to come and get a lens and do the review. And I was like, okay. So I went and I picked the lens. I have no idea that it's going to be 51.2, and when I saw the lens I was like, oh right, so it's going to be a special. It's not just like typical review, because this is the lens which every Nikon owner was waiting for, especially from the old F-mount days, where we were like, all right, you have to make like there were no f1.2 for us back in the day. Of course, there were 51.2 AIS, 55 1.2 AIS, and 58 1.2, but those were manual focus lenses, and not many people are used to manual focus. I own 55 1.2 AIS, and I know how difficult it is to do the focus at 1.2. It's not easy. You have to do a lot of practice in order to do to nail in the focus. So that's why everybody was waiting for autofocus lens from Nikon with f1.2. So here is the answer. But before I start sharing with you my final thought process, I have to share with you this piece of information, which is and it's universal. It's across the board. You can go Google and you can do verify from any camera manufacturer. The thing is, lens design is a compromise. I already mentioned in my earlier videos, lens design is a compromise. It means that there is a whole checklist of the lens design that you have to look upon, and based on that, then you have to go for the design. There are certain compromises that you have to do in order to achieve your goal. So you have to first set your goal, that what kind of lens you have to design. It physically has to be compact, or it has to be optically sharp, or it has to be optically perfect lens which can compromise on certain aspect of the lens design. So there's always a trade-off. There is no perfect lens in the world. That being said, let's jump about this lens, which is 50mm 1.2. Alright, so when we compare this lens, I'm going to talk about the not so good thing, and then I'm going to talk about the good stuff about that lens. So the first thing, which is everybody was raising their eyebrows, like why it's like that. This lens is huge. This lens is big. Alright, when it compares to other 50mm 1.2, alright, this lens is big in compared to the Canon 1.2 50mm for their RF mount, and of Sony 1.2 for their E mount. And that's true. This lens is big when it comes to comparison, size, volume. So for traveling, this you have to think about taking this lens for a ride, because this lens is heavy, this lens is big. So when you put this lens into the bag, it will consume a lot of volume and a lot of weight. It's going to add up the weight. But here is the thing. Nikon engineer, when they designed this lens, and basically I able to conclude this input, conclude this result after using this lens like religiously for last 2 weeks. This lens was hooked on my Z5, and I was just going through every technical aspect about this lens, and this is what I concluded. When it comes to design 50mm 1.2, I believe somebody from the head, uh, from the Nikon engineering department, they told the Nikon engineers who basically designed the lens, they have been told that you have to design a perfectly optical lens, like you have to design a lens which has to be at the top of the game, which no other 50mm 1.2 can do. This is what they have been told, and I basically able to conclude this because I saw the result from this lens, and I'm not kidding, and I am dead serious what I'm going to say next in the entire video. I usually don't brag about the lenses much unless it's sharp, colorful, that's it. But what I'm going to say next in this whole video, I basically put my all knowledge and all testing that I do for this lens specifically, and I was shocked. Somebody from the head of the Nikon, lens design, told the Nikon engineers that you have to design 50mm which has to be optically perfect, no compromises, zero compromises. So, as I said earlier, lens is under compromise. So they took the best glass element with the best configuration, with the best composite material that they can put into the glass, with the best number of lens array design, grouping and everything, to make a lens which is not only corner to corner sharp, alright, even from this corner all the way to this corner, it has to be optically sharp across all the apertures with minimum optical quality degradation. Like even if you are shooting at f16, the lens has to be optically sharp, must not produce diffraction or minimum diffraction. So not only corner to corner sharp, across all the apertures, even at f1.2, it has to be pin sharp. And the micro contrast, yes, I'm using that word micro contrast, which nobody believes, but micro contrast has to be there, which can resolve 100 megapixel plus any image at any aperture value. Let me repeat. The lens has to be designed in a way which can resolve any number of megapixel, regardless if you are using 12 megapixel, 24 megapixel, 36 megapixel, 45 megapixel, 61 megapixel, 100 megapixel. Even I believe up to 400 megapixel. Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. Even if in future, if you are going to have 400 megapixel camera from Nikon, you can use this lens and still able to resolve all those details up to the pixel level. This is how much crazy this lens is, and I have seen the result. I was shocked when I saw the result. So when they designed this lens, Nikon engineer, they put all their knowledge, they put all their effort, they put all their experience in order to design this lens, and I don't know what kind of sorcery they did with this lens, but yeah, which makes this lens huge when it comes to other competitors. There are other like 50 from 50mm 1.2 from the other manufacturer. They are small, they are compact, unlike this. But this lens, it's a Rolls Royce lens. You know Rolls Royce, right? Millions of dollars, all right. And you have Lamborghini, millions of dollars, all right. But if you want a car which can go 0 to 60 miles per hour, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, and minimum amount of time, you cannot go with Rolls Royce. You will directly go with Lamborghini, right? Lamborghini can go in less than 3 seconds, 0 to 60 miles, right? That's true. But Rolls Royce cannot do 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. Why? Because of its big, because it's heavy, unlike Lamborghini. But Lamborghini does not have the luxury which Rolls Royce can do. It doesn't have the interior just like Rolls Royce have to, you know. So when it comes to having the luxury brand, when it comes to having that luxury feeling, when it comes to having the luxury ride, when it comes to having everything which you can think about when you associate it, the car with the word luxury, you will go with Rolls Royce, not with Lamborghini, right? So Lamborghini is fast, is agile, but it's not have that luxury feeling, not that premium feeling which Rolls Royce have. So this is the Rolls Royce of the lens. Yep, I am using the word Rolls Royce for this lens because it gives you that premium feeling. It gives you that premium output. This lens renders the image so crazy, I am literally shocked. I am not kidding. Whatever I'm saying in this video, I know it's going to be, come back to me if I'm saying anything wrong. I'm not exaggerating. The output from this lens made me bonker. Why? Because I used to think that the micro contrast or the 3D pop were only, used to happen past days where when we having old manual focus or D-type lenses from Nikon, they used to do these kind of things. 3D pop, 3D rendition. I'm gonna put a couple of images or one images right now over here, which you can see that these images was like jumping out from the screen. The screen is two-dimensional, but these images are 3D rendered, and I used Nikon a manual focus AIS lens for these images, where the images literally pop out from the screen. Looks like it's coming out from the screen. It's so much three-dimensional. This lens can do. This lens can render three-dimensional at 1.2. I am not kidding. I have seen the result, and it looks like the whole thing is coming out from the screen. I used to think that modern day lenses are just optically corrected only for sharpness, not for anything else. And I'm not much used to of shooting 50mm in my whole life. You haven't seen shooting me with 50mm because I think that 50mm is not good for even portrait and not good enough wide angle to take environmental shots. So for me 50mm was not a good place to go with. That's my personal experience. I'm not saying anything against about the 50mm. It's just that I don't feel like going with that because for my vision, either I go with 35 or below or 85 or above. So 50mm was never for my work play. But when I started using this lens produced so much stunning result that I was like, okay, I have to use this lens throughout, no matter what. Landscape, portrait, street, long exposure, I don't care. I have to use it. The more I was using this lens, the more I was like feeling crazy. Because then this lens produced 3D rendition and micro contrast so much. I'm having this lens can resolve micro contrast or contrast, or you can say micro contrast, even up to the pixel level so much that even if you zoom to 300%, and I'm not kidding, when you go and zoom to 300%, you can see which image is sharp. I have example with me where I thought the image is sharp, but it was not sharp. When I zoom to 300%, I can see clearly that one image is not sharp and another image is sharp. This lens make it so clear up to the pixel level. I am not kidding. I'm going to put both examples in front of you right now. These two shots are taken with this lens, handheld, and one image is sharp, one image is not sharp. This lens can able to give me sharpness more than 1 kilometer away. I was shooting architecture more than 1 kilometer away, and I was able to distinguish the sharpness and the floors 1 kilometer away from this lens. This is so crazy. Usually when you are shooting architecture, 1 kilometer away, things start getting, merging. You can see, yeah, the floors are different, but they were so much clear. I was like, damn. And I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating anything. Whatever I'm saying is my real life example, like real life experience from this lens. This lens is crazy. This lens is crazy. If you are only shooting this lens for portrait, you are not even using 10% of this lens. I'm not kidding. This lens can resolve more than 100 megapixel plus, because the way it is designed, the way the lens element was used inside this lens, it's super crazy. So in this conclusion video, I don't know what to say more, because the results that I have seen from this lens made me literally, I was about to bite my nails. I was like, shoot. I was like, how I'm going to justify, how I'm going to tell you that what I'm seeing is real, because nobody's going to believe me. I was literally going through that thought process that if I'm going to say this thing in my video, people are not going to believe me. Like I just said, 1 kilometer away, I was shooting architecture, landscape, architecture, cityscape, what type of thing, and I was able to see everything pin sharp more than a kilometer away. This is crazy. This lens can resolve anything at any level, at any corner of the screen. That's what I'm talking about. Normally what happens is the lens is sharp at the center. Edges are not sharp or not sharp enough. This lens, it's crazy sharp, even at the edges. How come? Seriously, how come? I wish I would have the other competitor 50mm 1.2 and I would have compared side by side, but I know one thing for sure. Regardless, even if you are going to compare it, this lens, it's going to beat him. Beat them all when it comes to optical image rendition. I shot a video called Dopamine, already published on my channel VUEGRAPHY, and I purposely shot that in black and white with close range to get that different feeling. You probably, most of you guys already seen it. I purposely did that, and I shot the video with so much close to get that feeling, and the lens autofocus with Z5, because this was hooked on Z5 entire time, and even Z5 was able to track everything so elegantly. So the autofocus, when it comes to autofocus, this lens was able to keeping up with all my movement in that video. So even I have no issue with autofocus. And regardless, wherever it is focusing, it's razor sharp. This lens is sorcery. Somebody did something magical in Nikon to come up with this crazy lens, which can produce micro contrast, 3D rendition, 3D pop, whatever you call it, in modern day lenses, which I thought that it never going to exist. It never possible. And I was wrong. This lens proved me wrong. Wow. I never shocked in my entire life using a modern day lenses the way I am shocked with this lens. Damn. Like really, damn. So I'm going to conclude this video in the end by saying this, that all the prayers that you have done to have the perfect 50mm are being answered. Anybody, any Nikon user who prayed their life that I want the perfect 50 mm from Nikon. Your prayers are being answered in the form of this lens. Yep. I already made a video about its comparison with other 350 mm which I happen to own. 50 mm 1.8 pancake, 55 mm f3.5 macro AIS, and 55 1.2 AIS. Yeah, I used to have that 50 mm 1.2 AIS. That lens is also able to produce 3D, but obviously these all three lenses especially are old, especially that 55 1.2 is not even close at 1.2 when it comes to this lens. It's not even close. That lens 55 1.2 having too much chromatic aberration. Blur is not everything. Autofocus, blur is not everything. The lens has to be sharp, produce more richer tones, and it has to be produce image with contrast, with colors, with acutance, with sharpness, construction, focus motor, how it's good in focusing and everything. There are so many elements in when you design a lens. So this lens is very, it's just like you have that checklist except the volume and the weight, everything is checked. Everything is checked. So the weight and volume is the only thing which you have to think about when you are traveling. But performance comes with price, technology comes with price. I always say this thing, there is no compromise when they design this lens. Optically, this lens is near perfect. Whatever you think from any modern day lens that I need fast focus is there, I need sharpness, edge to edge is there, I need 3D rendition is there, I need micro contrast is there, I need colors is there, I need image which do blah blah blah, it's there. This lens is crazy, and I am happy to say that whoever designed this lens must get a raise, must get a bonus, because whoever this guy or team designed that lens, I mean, man, hats off. You nailed it. You nailed it. See, maybe most of you going to brag about that weight and volume. I know for sure many of you are going to watch this video, blah blah blah, going to say about the weight and volume about this lens. But really, after seeing the performance, I'm not kidding. I'm not caring about the volume and weight, because I know that whatever this lens is performing and it's doing, the weight and volume completely can be ignored based on what this lens can do for you. So yes, lens design is a compromise, and I will ignore the weight and volume when I saw the performance. I was like, forget about the weight and volume. This lens is crazy. Like I said, up to 300% zoom, I was able to see the corners. One was sharp, one was not sharp. You can't see, and I'm talking about at pixel level. I'm not kidding, at pixel level. This is crazy. This is really crazy. So let me conclude this video now. By the way, in this video I'm putting up some sample images on and off, and whatever I was shooting with this lens was really able to produce 3D pop, and at 1.2 it was crazy. I wasn't expecting that 3D pop, but this lens can do. And that after using this lens, it break my habit. Like I had this habit of not going to use 50 mm, but now after using this lens, it pulled me back, and it basically making me thinking to start using 50 mm again, and which I'm going to do from now onwards. 50 mm, like I said, was not my favorite focal length, but this lens changed me. So yeah. And by the way, people who think that I am just saying nonsense in this entire video, I need you to rent this lens and use for 1 week religiously. Just hook that lens on your Z camera and use it for anything and everything. And then you will realize whatever I have said in this video is right. Shoot at 1.2 and then you will able to see what this lens can do. By the way, at 1.2, yes, this lens do create vignetting just like any other lens, and it's heavy vignetting but still sharp. It's still sharp. The moment you shift to f2, even from 1.2 1.4, 1.2 to 1.4, the vignetting start gone. You don't have to even reach to f2. So that's crazy. That's really crazy. So vignetting is there, but it's the normal thing. It's every lens, wide aperture, f1.2 or f1.4, its vignetting is going to be there, but it's sharp. Like I said, I already made a comparison of this lens with other 450 mm. You will see in the channel, and that's it. So that's my final thought about this lens. Thank you, Nikon, for making the perfect 50 mm, which optically render image so premium, so exclusive that it made people say wow, like damn. And I used 50 mm 1.2, 55 1.2. I used that lens, and but this lens, it's on somewhere way top. I have used so many lenses from Nikon and from other companies, and I am 100% sure that checklist that I have in my mind for every lens, this lens checked almost every aspect that I thought about that any lens can have. This lens is near perfect lens. Yep. Except volume and weight, this lens is near perfect. But like I said in the beginning of this video, lens design is a compromise. It's always have, it always will. You can't overcome the physics. You just can't overcome, because you cannot fix by software anything which happening inside the lens. You can't fix it. You can fix in the camera using SNR firmware. You can reduce the noise, you can do the image quality premium, you can do all computational photography inside the camera, but not in the lens. It's physics. So like I said, all those big glass elements inside this lens is the proof that they literally made zero compromise in order to make the lens which can give you a premium output. That's it. Yeah, I said this premium output multiple times because I have felt the output from this lens so heavily that it keeps making me saying this word again and again in this video. I'm not exaggerating. I already told you that whatever I'm going to say in this whole video is not exaggerating. You've never seen me this much excited for any lens review. And this lens is exceptional. It's really exceptional. You know, it's little brother that 50mm 1.8. I never liked that lens. I never. Everybody was saying this that 50mm is sharp. I was like, yeah, it's sharp, but I don't like the output. That 35 1.8s was better than 50mm 1.8s, and I proved it. I showed the output to one of the guys, the in the store, and that guy, when he saw the result, was like, yeah, you were right. 35 1.8 is better in compared to 50 1.8s. Because I know, I have seen that the output for the 35 1.8s is premium. 50 1.8s was not even close. It's sharp, but the output was not that which 35 1.8 does. But this, oh, khalas, no more. I'm out of words. This 50mm 1.2s kills the competition with single-handedly. Single-handedly. So, if you want the best of the best, period, with honors, sir, just go with that lens. Just go with that lens, and I can assure you, you will enjoy every single click. Every single click. I'm not kidding. Because I enjoy. I enjoy shooting with that lens. The output every single time. Premium. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in future with some new content. Till then, take care.